Welcome to E4 Electric, your #1 source for what's happening now in the world of electric cars. Today we're going to recap the entire week of excitement that's been happening in this universe. Of course, Model 3 had a lot of news. We're going to talk about a new story that kind of sprung on me and I think all of us for a real Tesla competitor, new Tesla competitor that's just going to start making cars next year. And of course, all of the other news of the Semi and just so many other things. And we're going to start right now. All right, with that out of the way, for those of you who are watching for the first time, welcome. If you are interested in the universe of electric cars, you came to the right place. Please consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward, but most importantly, become a part of this community. All right, guys, I see a lot of regulars in the chat already. Vid from Czech Republic, Tony from Minneapolis. My girlfriend is actually watching from Los Angeles where she's visiting her family. Monkey Ride is from England, who doesn't know that his comment is one of the comments of the day today. Saga Foda from Germany, Spokane, Washington, and so many more. All right, guys, let's talk about quite a few things that we got going on here. Now, I got to start with the Model 3, of course, and that's what I'm going to do. And there were quite a few things that were coming out of this week. First of all, there was a third wave of invitations for people to configure and start getting their Model 3s, which is exciting. It of course brought up a lot of questions why they're going through so fast through the list. But of course, at the same time, we don't really know if they're sending out small numbers or large numbers, and how many people are actually opting out to wait, because, you know, nobody really knew when they were going to get this invitation, so nobody could perfectly time when they needed a new car or when their previous cars has its lease ending or whatever. And of course, a lot of people are still waiting for a 35,000 version. In my case, I actually just, you know, my current leases have not expired yet. It's not going to happen until September. So in my case, I'm going to wait. But I also know quite a few people who just going for it and ordering, and they're moving quite nicely. Of course, earlier I have reported that and a lot of people reported that there are a couple of locations in California, one in near the Los Angeles, one is near Fremont, and you're watching the footage that I got there, just stockpiling a lot of Model 3s. We were also thinking about why stockpile them instead of start delivering them right away. I mean, there were some guesses about maybe them wanting to deliver this, some drone footage right here, so you can see how many. It's over 100 really. And I've heard that actually, I probably should visit, but there are a couple of other locations with this sort of a lot of other Model 3s. Some, you know, I thought maybe they're missing some small part that they just needed to install really quick once they actually get it. But I visited there yesterday, and it looks like some of them already got moved out. Some of the new inventory there, or at least cars on the parking lot, were Model 3, Model X's and Model S's. So it looks like they're actually moving pretty nicely without any issues. The VIN numbers are in 2500s from what I understand. The highest I've seen is 2306, which is pretty good. I know VIN numbers don't always tell us everything, but it definitely is an indication of how many of them made. And of course, they're only going to keep so many for themselves. And they're still, from what I understand, they're still delivering to their employees. And of course, their employees will start receiving will continue receiving cars into the next year, because some of them also wanted to wait to configure either a different configuration, maybe $35,000 version, or just wanted to wait until it's their time to when they're ready to buy the an electric car or a brand new car. So a lot of interesting things that have been happening. Oh, and I think the biggest news, kind of missed that one. I think the biggest news of the week is that, you know, in the beginning, I believe it was September or October, when there were reports that the suppliers that were supposed to start making the parts for the Model 3 were told to roll it back to almost half of the order by December, and that was the biggest indication that Tesla was having problems, and even Tesla did not believe they were going to get to 5,000 cars per week. But now the same suppliers are reporting that actually Tesla has asked them to go ahead and go for those 5,000 parts per week, which means that their issues have been resolved. They believe that they can move forward and achieve that rate pretty shortly. Now, just because they told them that doesn't mean it's tomorrow, right? So don't forget, they have to make those parts. And it's not like they're sitting there waiting for them to order, right? You have to scale up and maybe hire more workers, and it's not that simple. So that's going to take some time. Then, of course, you have to ship them. Then Tesla has to receive them here, because a lot of those parts are made in China. The Tesla would have to receive them, then make cars, and that takes about 3 or 4 weeks. So we're talking about, you know, a couple of months from now. But that's still good news, because Elon said that they won't achieve 20,000 cars per month until the end of March. So they might just be ahead of their own new postponed but yet new schedule. So that's all pretty good news. Incapacitate in the chat room says might be delayed so they don't pass 200,000 deliveries. That way more people get the tax credit. So a few of you guys commented exactly same thing, but the thing is it really, Tesla is not going to cross 200,000 cars this month, which is the end of the quarter, right? So there doesn't really matter if they sell an extra 1,000 or 2 now or in the beginning of January. It really, they're going to reach 200,000 cars regardless on how they're selling them. So, you know, meaning like whether they're pacing them or not. Now, if this was the end of the quarter and they were like at 197,000 cars, then I understand. Of course, they would want to kind of hold that back. But they're not at 200,000 yet, so I really don't see any reason to hold that. And, you know, go ahead and follow up with your comment if maybe you think I'm misunderstanding something, but they're just not at that stage, and this is not going to matter whether or not they're going to reach that 1, 2, or 3,000 Model 3s that are making this quarter. Now, I think they're going to end up with 2,500 Model 3s delivered up to, you know, for the entire year of 2017 by December 31st. But, you know, we'll see. It's probably going to be around that that area. Coral in the chat room says, we found lots and lots of jobs on the Tesla page. You know, yeah, Tesla is hiring. They're always consistently expanding. Obviously, they need more and more people to, their factory is pretty full, I have to say, and they're working like day and night. I have to say, when I stopped by the Tesla lot, the delivery center, to check it out, I was on my way from going out to Oakland, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I saw people working there inside, and the trucks were delivering stuff. So this is a 24/7 operation for Tesla. So I'm not surprised that they're going to be hiring more people, not just for the factory, but delivery centers, you know, obviously car detailing, transportation, and just a lot of things. Service, obviously, service is a big deal. So it is obviously very important that they're hiring. I'm not surprised. Tony in the chat room. Tony is one of the Patreons. Thank you, Tony, of course, and the regular in the chat room. He says Tesla is the epitome. Tony, why do you have to make me learn a new word? I don't even know what that means. Oh, how to read it, to be honest with you. All right, Tesla is the new epitome of innovation, and the haters just want them to fail. Newsflash, there is a revolution at food and gaining momentum. I agree. I've been calling this a revolution because, you know, it is not, it's an, you know, innovation is something that's happening, and it's happening. Obviously, innovation is something that's happening, and people are, and the industry is welcoming it, right? Well, Tesla is not usually welcome, or you know, is not welcome in this and many other industries. It's disrupting it. It is a revolution because people, you know, the industry is fighting them tooth and nail. I mean, you know, let's get to this other story. I wasn't really going to talk about it right now, but sure, let's get into it. Michigan, obviously the home of GM and Ford, and they're fighting it tooth and nail. They don't want Tesla there. They obviously have made sure that Tesla is just not able to sell their cars, but at the same time, right now, Tesla has won a pretty interesting, I guess, it's not an injunction, but it's, I guess, a request. They want the Michigan legislature and the auto lobby to expose, I guess is the word, their emails between each other that they were what they were talking about before they passed that law, I believe in 2014, that basically made sure that Tesla wouldn't be able to sell in Michigan directly, and a judge granted it. So now we're going to see, and by the way, I believe one of the legislatures there is married to one of the lobbyists, which is crazy. I don't understand why it's legal, but we had crazier things going on here anyway. But, you know, it's something that we're going to find out. What were they talking about? Why were they Why would they? What were the reasons? Were they just really trying to screw Tesla, or were they really working on legislature as they should be for the people of the state of Michigan? I'm pretty sure we were going to find out, you guys. I'm not a. I think my money is on corruption, and of course the fact that the lobbyists wanted Tesla out. Just like in Germany, Germany has passed a few interesting laws, or at least the way they handle incentives, where, they're trying to squeeze Tesla out. Now, it's understandable, but this is why we're calling it a revolution, because it's being forced. It's being forced on that industry, and there are a lot of other industries, right? Now there's a new industry of self-driving cars because of this. The insurance industry, the trucking industry. There's so many industries that don't want to move off their butts, and yet Tesla is making them. So I absolutely agree. All right. Gunaram in the chat room is giving me an English lesson, which he tells me epitome means the best. Okay, I kind of figured that by the phrase, but okay, well, I have learned a new word today and I will use it in a sentence. So there you go. Keys from Sweden says hello. Hello, right back to you. Thank you for joining me in this extended live stream on Sunday. Anonimo in the chat room says next step electric commercial planes. Absolutely. I believe Rolls-Royce just partnered with Siemens, I think, and they are going to be working on an electric plane, and I agree with you. That seems like something that should be worked on next. It's not as simple, I'm assuming, but yeah, why not? Tony says, didn't mean to trip you up. Sorry about that, Alex. That's okay, man. I gotta, English is still my second language. I gotta learn new words. So, okay. So Donovan Small says, not sure about the comment, but I was talking to an Audi employee in Sweden, and he said, I'm assuming, that Audi is trying to slow Tesla down. Okay, so one of the cars, and I'm going to be doing a show about this, one of the new cars that are going to be competing for real next year will be Audi e-tron Quattro, and it's going to have a legitimate range, I think 200 something miles, and it's going to be a pretty good looking Audi with legitimate everything, and it's going to be one of the electric cars entering the market next year. I don't know if I told you guys, I am going to be going on vacation 22nd through the 30th, but instead of just being MIA, because I'll be out of the country, I will be posting, well, I'll pre-record this, but it's going to be automatically posted, what I'm calling E-Awards. These are the electric cars awards that I made up for you guys with my own categories of, like, for example, best performance, best possible competitor for Tesla in 2018, sexiest electric car feature, all that kind of stuff. Now on Patreon page, which you can find my Patreon page in the description of this video, and my Patreons are right now, I released all of the categories, and they're going to vote on which category they want me to release the video just for them. So I'll release 9 for everybody on YouTube, and one of them, whichever they choose, to my Patreons. If you guys are interested in supporting the show, please browse to patreon.com/e4electric. You can not only support the show there, but I also release some exclusive footage there, about some reporting that I do that I don't necessarily post here, behind the scenes footage. If you're interested in what's happening, I just posted this kind of a funny but embarrassing dance that I did. I was on my way from the photo shoot. As you know, we were shooting some different Tesla cars with local fashion models in the beautiful California locations. And on the way back to return the car to its owner, I decided, hey, let me check out that Christmas feature song, and I just decided to just dance around with it. I got some really good feedback on that, but I can't post it on YouTube even if I wanted to, because the music, which is, by the way, called Wizards of Winter by the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, I love that piece, but I contacted the record company and they said unless I pay them, they're not gonna let me post it on YouTube. So I posted on Patreon. For those of you guys who are contributing, I hope you enjoy me having fun and embarrassing myself in that video. So that's that about the Patreon. Let's see. Varun in the chat room says, can't he expect privacy at the cruise vacation at least? Yeah, well, I don't mind. I mean, yeah, privacy, but also, you know, I know a lot of you guys have kind of got used to coming out every day at 11 o'clock Pacific time and chatting and having a good time and talking about electric car news. And I know I won't be able to do it because I'll be on a cruise ship with really no internet, and I wanted to make sure you guys still have something fun that I'm just gonna upload before I leave and have it scheduled to be released at 11 a.m. on Pacific time every day, so you guys still have something fun to check out. And I think these are going to be pretty interesting e-words, as I call them, because, you know, I wanted to see who's coming out on top of at the end of this year, who's positioned the best to compete and to entertain and to innovate next year. Of course, a lot of Teslas are going to be there, but for example, I have a category, a disappointment of the year, right? We were hopeful about a few things and, you know, they just didn't work out. Also, the best comeback of the year, there were some cars and features that we thought were going to be done, and they kind of came right back, and I thought that was pretty good. Frosty Flakes says a cruise ship without internet must be run by China. That's pretty funny. Well, I mean, they do have internet, but it's extremely expensive, like, and it's very slow because it's satellite internet, so there's no way I would be able to stream. Now, I will have my phone with me in Mexico, and because I have T-Mobile, I will be able to pretty much, you know, have the same plan there. So I might stream, but I don't know what I'm going to stream there for, unless I find a Tesla in Mexico, and then I will definitely stream. I will stream from the CES, Consumer Electronics Show, when I'm there in January, and I'm going there for many different reasons. But one of the reasons that I was going there for was this car. Fisker was going to release eMotion, their brand new car that they came up with after the bankruptcy. They had a lot of other news that had this year. They patented the 500-mile battery that they claimed they figure out how to charge in under 1 minute. They also just partnered up to produce a smart city little driverless bus. They just released it, so things appear to be going pretty good, but I believe I was the only ones to report it at this point, but I believe that they will not be unveiling eMotion at the CES. I already told you guys yesterday that, you know, because I am part of the media there, because I have a press pass, they usually send us the list of all the exhibitors and all that stuff, and usually invitations go out for the events and demos, and I just couldn't find Fisker in there. So I contacted the CES official. They said, you know, we can't find them either, which is pretty weird because, you know, it's only 3 weeks left or so. Then I contacted Fisker, which usually has been pretty responsive to me, and they would reply to my emails and stuff like that. And they ignored me for a little bit, but then I finally got through, and they told me that they were pretty tight-lipped, and they just said they're going to release a statement to the media shortly, which is kind of weird. Just makes me believe that they are not going to reveal their car at the CES, which is kind of sad because I was looking forward to them doing that. That's one of the main reasons I wanted to go there. And a lot of you guys, excuse me, in the chat room, I'm sorry, in the replies, when in the comment section when you watched the replay of that stream, said that you guys don't even believe it's a real company. They believe it's just Mr. Fisker and his desk, and that's all that's going on, really. The company doesn't really exist. And you know what? You guys might be right. People say there is no evidence of them having headquarters or whatever. I don't know if that's true, really, and if they have to disclose that, but you know, guys, you might be right. But so far, my money is on the fact that they're not going to unveil the eMotion at the CES. And I believe I'm the first one who's reporting this, so we'll see. Let's see. Gene in the chat room says, English is my first language and I still have to learn new words. So no worries. Let's see, about the plans or truth to collaborate. It was Airbus, just need to say it. Okay, that's from Karel in the chat room. Let's see, Tesla bus, Nikolai Klimchuk is asking. You know, yeah, here's the thing. The buses don't need to have as big of a range, right? So Tesla may not have an advantage there. And, you know, there are a lot of buses, green buses here in California, all over the place. I don't know where you're from, Nikolai. I'm assuming you're Russian just like me, but I don't know where you're actually located. So, But you know, the buses, they don't go that many miles in one day, especially school buses. So you can have a 100-mile range and be just fine if you are making a bus. And there are a few companies that are already making them. But you know what? I'm sure Tesla will jump into it at some point. They just need to navigate the whole commercial industry carefully, because they just came out with semi, and they probably want, and we all want them to do well and be careful with it. So, but I agree with it. I would love to see. I would love to see the Tesla bus. So that would be pretty cool. Corral says you need to show the audio card if you talk bought this. It's the new quality of you and your channel. Okay, so the thing is, don't forget, I mean, I prepare the slides, all the graphics that you guys see. I have to download the pictures from their media kit, because I can't just be stealing it. It has to be from company's media kit or the pictures that I take myself from my archive. Those are the only two types of pictures and videos that you see here, and I have to put, you know, letters and words on it, right? And so I don't always have stuff ready. Like I have some of the more common topic, you know, pictures, but like audio, it wasn't on my radar. We haven't talked about it, but I'll make sure to put it in my library of images that I use here. Mr. Tech Freak 95 says the German press tries to make Tesla and EVs look bad since many years ago. I'm assuming he, I think Germany is gonna, you know, probably go the way that BMW, Mercedes, and other German manufacturers are trying to go. They are trying to electrify their fleet, but obviously they're, you know, kicking and screaming, being dragged into that direction. That's why I call it revolution. So unfortunately, you know, that's what it's going to be. And I understand the lawmakers in that country will protect their own industry. So, and then just like Michigan legislature is protecting their own in Michigan and trying to not let Tesla in there. So I understand, but it's unfortunate. I'm sure they'll get there though sooner or later. I don't think they have a choice at this point. Tony in the chat room says Patreon will allow you guys to view all bonus content Alex creates. That's true. It's a great way to support Alex and all the great content he creates for all of us. Yes, I absolutely. And you know, when you get to the Patreon page, you will actually see my video with sort of an explanation where all of your contributions are going to, because I don't think that people always understand how much money really goes into producing this, because obviously this is my hobby right now, not a full-time job, very far from it. Let's see. Gene in the chat room. I have a feeling I lost it. Okay, Gene in the chat room is trying to scare me out of my vacation, because he says, just saw another cruise ship was returned to port because over 200 passengers got the Hershey squirts. Oh God, the visual. I don't pre-read these comments, guys. I just read them raw, so you gotta warn me when you're gonna post stuff like that. But yes, I know there's a cruise ship that just had 200 people get sick. I do have to say that it doesn't happen because of the food on the ship. It happens because people just don't wash their hands. It's that easy. The cruise line that we take, which is Princess, they usually make you like Purell the hell out of your hands before you even get into any area that has food. We've had a pretty good time. Me and my girlfriend usually just have very good hygiene, so we do it anyway. So we make sure that, you know, and you know, it is what it is. I have to say, whenever that happens, whenever any problem on a cruise ship happens, they reward you greatly. Sometimes, guys, you wish you would get sick on a cruise ship, because your next 2 vacations are going to be probably free. So, like, literally the cruise that we're going on right now, the previous cruise that we went to last year ended up not stopping at one of the destinations that promised. And literally because of just that, you know, got cut by 1 day because of just that one thing, which, you know, was a bummer, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Our cruise that we're going on this time around is like half off, which is insane, because cruises are already relatively cheap. So yeah, that happens, but you know, that's not, no one died, right? That's okay. Tony says, I assume your girlfriend has approved your E4 electric activities while away on your cruise, otherwise it wouldn't be happening. Well, my girlfriend's going with me on the cruise, so she'll probably be running the camera, just like she's going with me to Vegas to the Consumer Electronics Show, because she'll be running the camera and hopefully just, you know, have a moral support, because there's going to be a lot of things going on. Coog is giving me another example of what epitome means. I appreciate that. Monkey Ride says, do you think it's been bought out? My fourth GM, and so Monkey Ride, you're gonna have to clarify because I don't quite understand it. I'll move on for now though. Frosty Flake says, I use high-speed satellite with RV. I use it when I'm in an isolated area for work, and expensive for sure. Yeah, I mean, satellite is expensive, but the up speed, basically the speed at which I will be pushing, like right now I'm pushing everything in full HD for you guys, and that's and I'm actually streaming right now on YouTube and Facebook. I can see it right there, and that's a lot of bandwidth you have to have, not to download stuff, but actually upload to the YouTube and Facebook servers. And satellite is really bad for upstreaming. Didn't mean to go all nerdy on you guys. Let's say Q-Tip Shark says, Q-Tip Shark, I feel like I ignore a lot of your comments, but not by purpose. Like I read them after I already move on. I was like, oh man, I should have read that. So I'm reading it right now. He has, have an awesome trip. Watch out for the sperm whales and Japanese whalers. Well, I'm not going to be swimming next to the ship. I will be on the ship, most likely in the bar in a piano music type of the area. So, and by the way, for the Patreons, I will post a video of some of the highlights of our vacation. We taped a lot of it from the last time, so I might be actually post that. All right, let's see. Any news on the Tesla truck, not semi or Model Y, asks Cordera Jones in the chat room. No, there's nothing on Model Y, completely quiet, and I don't think we're gonna see a Tesla truck anytime soon. I think the picture that we saw was kind of more of a joke, and even if it wasn't a joke, don't forget that wasn't really a truck that we can drive. It would still require a semi-truck license, and you won't be able to park in your driveway or anywhere really. So that was, even if it wasn't a joke, that's not really not for us. But no, nothing. I haven't heard anything in the news. Let's see. Coral is asking, how do I get the Patreon page to work, which I join up? I don't know what you mean. You just go to patreon.com/e4electric, and it's in the description of this video, and you should be there. If you're having problems, definitely email me, alex@e4electric.com. Let's see. Greg says in Wisconsin, Foxconn is building 300 million square foot building and having autopilot bus to move workers to work for parking lots, from parking lots. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, guys. A lot of things are being built. All of this industry is now getting into trying to produce the electric cars, which also means you have to produce battery, which also means that there got to be companies that are taking care of the charging network. So all of this is growing. So a lot of ground is being broken. A lot of these companies are, need facilities and service centers, and where places where they have to create this technology. So no, yeah, a lot of things are going on. I'm not surprised. Corral says, thanks for your note. Well done. Go forward and do not look back. Absolutely. Guys, I enjoy doing these things. It's absolutely awesome. I love the fact that community is so involved, and the fact that I have an ability to interact live with you guys. Though I do read every single post when you guys comment after I post it, after I repost this live. Let's see. Gene says I was trying. Okay, I wasn't trying to be rude. No, Gene, I totally understand. It's just took me by surprise a little bit. He says it actually happens because it's a very enclosed environment, same for flying a lot of the time. Yeah, no, I mean, I understand the risks of being on a cruise ship, but so far, we chose the Princess cruises because they're pretty clean. They've never had, I believe, that many incidents in the world. They're pretty clean environment, and we've been is this ship powered by diarrhea? We'll see. Oh man, we cannot get off this topic. Nigel in the chat room says German companies like Toyota trying to protect their own sales. Toyota is not a German company though. Toyota is a Japanese company. Some like Toyota have bet on the wrong tech. Hydrogen. Mercedes also did the same thing. Yeah, Toyota is. It's so weird about Toyota. They've been on the front of innovation for such a long time, especially with their Lexus brand. When I had my Lexus LS 460L back in like 10 years ago, it was already parking itself, guys. Like, people don't know that, but that Lexus could park itself 10 years ago. They had touch screens. They had all these amazing technologies, and somehow Toyota have just they not only they never kept kept up with the times, they also kind of rolled back. They don't have touchscreens anymore. They don't have this technology. A lot of, like, if you've ever been in a Lexus, what is it, IS, inside the dashboard literally looks like it's a Mercedes in the 80s. It's just it's weird. So yeah, they have not kept up. They bet on the hydrogen fuel cells, which is a mistake, and they just admitted it, but they decided to still go forward with the Murray, which is their hydrogen cell powered car. I still see them selling them here in California. California is the only state that they're even selling it. So it's been kind of embarrassing for them. Corder Jones says California is the capital of EV, or maybe China. That's funny you mentioned it. One of the categories I'm going to have for my E-Awards, the pre-recorded segments I'm going to release every day while I'm on vacation, 22nd through 30th, is going to have a category which is the most electric car friendly country. And that was a tough call, I have to say. I was doing research last night. It's so hard to figure out between the incentives that some countries give you to, of course, how much money the cars cost, because, you know, like Teslas in China cost way too much because of their tariffs, to other laws that make it easier for you to own the electric car, to the charging stations and infrastructure, to so many other things. So it wasn't really that easy of a call. I picked a winner, which I think was, everybody would agree, but yeah, it wasn't easy to compare those countries. That I spend the most time researching that category than any other category. So yeah, it's definitely you may be surprised, may not be, but there are a lot of countries that are in the mix. Like look at France and Iceland, even they're kicking ass too. They're just not in the news. Tony says cruises are the best. I need to go on another one because it's been too long. I'm happy for you guys. Yeah, this is our 5th cruise in like 2 years. I love them. Plus, I really don't like flying. Actually, I'm scared shitless of flying, to be honest with you. So the cruises are great. You can visit a few different destinations. You don't have to unpack. You know, it's usually all inclusive. It's basically a little Vegas on the ship, and then you visit different countries and a city. So that's usually pretty cool. Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna scroll up a little bit. Wait a second. You guys are typing way too fast. Dan in the chat room says, what's your listening music genre favorite song? You know what? I don't have one. I mean, I like Russian rock because that's what I grew up on, but I like, you know, techno and dance music when we go out and just want to dance in the clubs. In the car, I listen to all different types of music. I like old-fashioned, I like classical. Right now, after this, I'm gonna be going to San Francisco Symphony for Bach. So symphony is something that I absolutely love. Bach is my favorite composer, so I can't say per se. Well, it depends on my mood, where I'm at, and what I'm using the music for, as far as, you know. So I can't give you a good answer, but I'm pretty much for almost everything. Country music is something I don't really understand, but when I came here to America, I came to California. We don't have that many sort of southern flavor in here, so I don't really get country music as much. But thank you for the question. Nigel in the chat room says, if you have a chance of taking cruise to Europe, Princess Cruise stops off at Ireland, Titanic experience, no in the world. I will probably go to Europe, but probably wouldn't be by plane. It takes a long time to be on a cruise ship and in the ocean to get to Europe. But I might get to Europe and take a cruise ship from there. How's that? Monkey Ride says, do you think Fisker has been bought by Ford or GM or one of the other big companies to catch up with Tesla? Well, so I really thought that Ford or Toyota or companies that are behind on this whole electric car thing that's definitely happening would be better off buying either Lucid, Motors, or Fisker or Faraday Future, that's also in trouble, right? Because it looks like they have the technology, it looks like they have some talent, right? Like even Faraday Future, their head designer just quit, but he was the designer of BMW i8 and BMW i3. That's a good thing on your resume, I believe. But so they have some talent, they have some technology. So I think companies like this should be great target for the bigger companies like Ford and Toyota and so forth that are really behind. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because that could be one of the things that the reason they're pulling out of the CES. I hope it's something positive like that, but then the question is, why not unveil that car anyway, unless they're gonna buy them and take them in a completely different direction, right? I mean, if anything, that's positive press. So let's say they announce it before or after, it doesn't even matter. If you have a car to present and it's ready for that, you know, I just don't really see why they wouldn't do it. On the other hand, obviously they probably want to make sure that, you know, the direction they're going to be going with is something that they can deliver. So maybe a presentation is too aggressive or whatever, but still, I would not understand why they would pull out if they're being acquired by another company. But it's an interesting, yeah, it's certainly an interesting way to look at it, and I hope that's what it is. Let's see. Tony says the EV moment is alive and kicking. I love it. Absolutely, so do I. Let's see. All right, too many Titanic references already. You guys, I'm only like a few days away from it. Let's not scare the crap out of me. Let's see. I know. Okay, Nigel says, I know Toyota is Japanese, just had loaner of new car, hybrid washing machine engine with a battery. Yeah, so I thought you were referring to Toyota as a German car, that maybe I misunderstood. Gene submits his vote for Norway as the #1 most friendliest country for the electric vehicles. That's not a bad candidate, Gene, but I will reveal my winner when the video goes up. Tony in the chat room says Toyota is backing hydrogen, which I believe isn't going to have quite the lift as electric. They're trying to make a square peg fit into a round hole. What a shame. I mean, no, I have not researched that technology enough to say whether it's a good or bad technology. You know, it's definitely a green technology. It's just the train, the battery route has been chosen, and you know, it requires a lot of innovation right now. Splitting this into two different technologies, not really sure if that's something that electric car movement really needs right now. And again, I just don't have any, there is no infrastructure, that's another thing also, but I just don't see if there's any reason why that one is much better than an electric cars with power batteries. Tech Stuff in the chat room says, do you think Tesla will bring out a new front and designed for the Model S and Model X 2018 with the Roadster front? You know, because Roadster is such sort of a exotic car, and they usually you know, want to maintain a very different look. I mean, yeah, they want to look like a Tesla, but it would be a very different, exotic look. If you look at it, even you know, right here, it does look a little bit like a Model 3. I don't think that Model S and Model X are going to get refreshed, especially on the front. It's a winning combination. People love it. They already did a refresh on the front end, so I'm not really sure if there's a need for another one. I think if they ever going to do a refresh, it will be on the entire car. But I got to tell you, it still looks very modern. And I think that, you know, if it is not broke, don't fix it, right? So they might make some small adjustments in the design, but I don't think they're going to be doing that. If anything, I would expect them to do the interior upgrade, because, you know, people have mentioned that, you know, Tesla Model S and Model X are just not as luxurious as they could be. And so inside, and therefore people are kind of asking for the upgrade so they can compete with the upcoming Jaguar and Mercedes and Audi that will all have a relatively luxurious look. More of you are voting for Norway as far as the most friendliest country in the world to electric cars. Let's see, let's scroll down. Frosty Flake in the chat room says China has had some issues, taxi catching on fire. They're working hard at it, though. I haven't heard anything from that about that, though. I know Teslas haven't been catching on fire lately, so that's good news. Though I gotta tell you which cars are still continuing to catch on fire, and that's gas cars. They always will. It's just not being reported very often, but they definitely catch on fire. Gene clarifies, he says Norway as the friendliest electric car country. Norway, not just because of the EV sales, but also because of their commitment to renewable energy. Yes, but Gene, also don't forget that Norway has a humongous petroleum industry there. It's almost like weird that they're, you know, really good to electric cars, but they really make a lot of money on oil. Let's see. Frosty Flake is saying that Russian Tekla. Yes, I do listen to Russian Tekla. One of the Russian guys, Shmuyator, in the chat room says Ruki Vierch. That is absolutely correct. It's called Hands Up, one of my favorite bands. If you ever listen to it, you will probably think that Russian music is very cheesy, but I love it. Even went to their concert when they were here in America. That was awesome. My girlfriend absolutely hates it when I'm listening to them, but she did go to the concert with me, even though she is not Russian. But yeah, love techno like any European person, I think. Greg says, Alex, how about a cruise with your for you with your Patreons? You know what? Once my Patreon page grows, once the Patreon community there grows, and we kind of shape our chemistry, I guess, we should do something together. I mean, obviously, not everyone's going to be able to fly in one place to hang out, especially a lot of you guys are from Europe, which I think is awesome. But we'll do something together. I mean, I can see us doing something there, maybe virtually, but still, I definitely would love that. That's kind of a part. That's kind of a reason why I also started Patreon, is because it's a smaller community where you can get to know everybody and kind of create your own chemistry and create your own sort of subculture from what we have. Saga Photo says Bach is German. We had good musicians in the very past too. Yes, and there's some good tech music in Germany right now as well. Nigel says Russians very upmarket and culture make US look like morons. Well, I'm not sure about that, man. I mean, it's very different culture, obviously. European cultures in general are more cultured. Not in like, I don't... more historically cultured. There's just more history to just our countries because we've been around for longer, and literature and architecture and all of that stuff. People are more, it's a more socialist country, but I also mean it in a good way. Like, for example, here, I live here for 5 years in this condo complex, and I don't know who my neighbors are. They just don't want to talk to me. The people are not interested. I have somebody who sits next to my office at work, and I don't know his name really, and we never said hi, and it's been a year. It's really weird, where in Russia, your neighbors are usually best friends forever. I'll give you an example. My family is just about to celebrate 25 years in the United States. And we used to live, we had neighbors when I was like 5, right? So we're talking about 35 years ago, and we're still friends with them. And they visit us here in the United States, even though they live in Russia and they're pretty old. So that's very different. It's just very different cultures, I gotta say. And they're good and bad in both, I believe. Let's see. Now you guys talking classical music in the chat room, which is pretty awesome. Varun says EV incentives are capped in a tax bill. Any other exciting EV news? Well, I should cover that, by the way. I haven't even gone through half of the things that I got going on here. So let me go back there and talk about it, because this is big news, and we've been going back and forth and back and forth. And to be honest with you guys, I almost really don't want to get everyone's hopes up, but it does look like the bill. And again, let me just give you a quick history of what we're talking about for those of you guys who are in Canada and Europe. So here in the United States, we have a $7,500 tax credit that we get from our government. So when we buy an electric car like Tesla, when we do our taxes next year, if we paid more than $7,500, then we're going to get them back. So it's kind of a non-instant rebate, if you will, for those people who pay taxes. Now we are having this huge tax overhaul bill right now that our Congress is working on. But the thing is, we have two houses. We have a Senate, and we have a House of Representatives. So they have to come up with their own versions of the bill and then kind of put them together, and that they vote separately. And one bill had the tax incentives completely removed, and another one did not. So now they had to combine it, and it looks like the combined bill that they're going to vote on, I think as early as Tuesday, has the EV electric car incentive still in there for $7,500, which is, you know, huge news. And again, I'm gonna talk about it once it's signed into the law, because the president has to sign it. But it's also good news. All right, let me go back in the chat room. Oh yeah, Greg Shaw in the chat room says they're bringing a new supersonic plane out half of the time. Okay, I'm sorry, that was probably a comment for somebody else. You guys are talking to each other, which is pretty cool. Nigel in the chat room says Model S needs new batteries, 2170, new upgraded interior. I absolutely agree. They will probably make those updates. I kind of expect them to, because if they right now have the technology that they've announced for the semi-truck and for the Roadster, they should definitely put it in there. And of course, the interior, I believe, is due to be updated. Tech Stuff says, I really hope that Tesla adds door pockets and something to hang your clothes in the rear to the Model S and Model X this year, like the Model 3 already has. Yeah, they are missing some very commonly used features. And that's, well, that of course reminds me that this show is sponsored by Avanex, and they make a lot of aftermarket accessories, like the little hooks that you can put in a Model S with that has a roof, that this has a sunroof, that will help you, and a lot of other things that we need. Like they started with creating the what do you call it? The little damn it, the word escapes me. There was just basically, for those of you who bought it recently, guys, there was a hollow space in between two seats on the front passenger seat, and then they created the center console. That was their first product, and so they kind of pick up the slack and create things that Model S and Model X may not have, and probably Model 3 moving forward. They're sponsored, so thank you to them for doing that. Let's see, let me go back into the chat room. Talking to me. Let's say you guys are talking to each other. Gene says it was that way here in the US 25 years ago. 2 times do change. I'm sure you're talking about like the way how people are not as social and friendly and to each other as they in Europe. I'll give you another example. By the way, this is a completely shocking example. Let me let me switch to something different here. So I worked for a Fortune 100 companies, and in a previous campus that I worked on, I had this one lady who worked there for like 20 years. And there was another lady right next to her who worked there for 15 years. So they worked together on the same team, side by side, for 15 years. And they're friends. But when I asked them, turns out that neither one of them met each other's husbands. Think about it, working together, friends, for 15 years, and that they've never met each other's husband. Not when they're dropping off the kids, not that maybe they invited them for the birthday, maybe someone got in the hospital you had to visit, like never. This is how weird it is sometimes here, and it is really weird to me, because in Europe, again, your neighbor is your friend, your co-worker is your friend, and here is just not the same. At least I'm talking about here in Silicon Valley in California. Even the United States, things are different from coast to coast, the way people are. Like, for example, here in California, people are really flaky. They will really tell you, hey, we'll do lunch next week. All right, see you there. And they will never talk about it again. Where, you know, in New York on the East Coast, oh, you better not stand people up for lunch or for any kind of promise that you made. So it is different in the United States as well, just different cultures from coast to coast, from state to state. Let's see. Gene says calling it a tax bill is a misnomer. It is the another word I have to learn today. It is the GOP paying their donors base back and screwing everyone else. Sadly, you know, again, I'm not really big on political, conversation here, because everyone's just going to start debating politics and Trump and God knows what else. And this is really not the place. It is what it is. You know, I mean, there's some people find useful things in that tax bill, but the only reason I cover the tax bill here is because of the tax incentives that might have been taken away. Hopefully they're not. Hopefully, if it is signed into the law and it's there, we can all move on. And if it's not there, we're just going to have to move on. That's the only reason I'm covering it. I really, just like I said, I can talk politics, but usually you alienate like half of your viewers anyway, and we're here to talk about electric cars. And really, my political views really don't really matter here. That's why I really don't really talk about them, because they're irrelevant, to be honest with you. Nigel is going to peel off. He says, catch you on a repeat. Have a nice holiday. You as well. I'm still going live until, so Thursday will be my last live episode, and then I'll be back on December 31st, right for the new year. It will continue being 11 a.m. Anton in the chat room says the Norwegian oil company Statoil is now specializing in building offshore wind power, a skill they learned from oil rigs. Yeah, no, this is great. Norway is a great country to model the electric car revolution after. They do have a huge petroleum business, but yes, you're right. They are converting. They're using the know-how from their oil industry and they're converting into the green energy industry, which sometimes they're converting oil rigs into the wind power little factories, if you will, and that's amazing. Let's see. Frosty Flake says, I want entertainment system for a back seats in Model X. That's not a bad idea, because I don't know if you've seen the new Mercedes what is it, EQ? That car does have a pretty cool the huge monitors on the back of the seats. If you go to the channel called What's Inside Family, he had a chance to ride, and I think yeah, just ride in that concept car, which is really cool. So check it out. Hopefully Tesla catches up to that. Greg in the chat room says, hope Wisconsin allows Tesla to sell here. Talks in medicine. At the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that you're going to end up being able to sell Teslas everywhere, and they're going to, sooner or later, they're going to win. I know Michigan is just a place where this is a kind of a last stand for the oil industry, for the gas car industry, because, GM and Ford, they're going to be fighting hard. They have a lot of, legislators that are on their side, but I think that's going to end pretty soon. Anton says apartment neighbors are strangers here in Sweden too. Rentals anyway. That's unfortunate, of course. Frosty Flake says actually tax bill is killing inventors that find success, not so much rich benefits. See, you guys are already disagreeing, or there's so many different things how you can look at this bill. But I think, I mean, I haven't read that bill, and I probably won't. People interpret it differently. From my perspective, we don't know what any bill is really going to do, especially with something abstract like taxes, until it's there. Yes, in some ways it looks pretty bad. In some ways it looks like it might be all right. So again, we'll see what happens. I just care about electric car incentives. I really think that should stay, because we all know what's going to happen if it goes away. I mean, nothing big, but it's definitely going to slow the whole thing down. Let's see. Within 2-3 years, Nigel says, within 2-3 years, I think EV makers have excuse to have prices as high. PS still here. Yes, we know. The prices need to come down, because incentives are not going to be here forever. I don't want them to. I think it's great that there are incentives to help a new technology, but in another 2 or 3 years, there won't be a new technology. The whole industry will have to stand on their 2 feet and figure things out, and therefore the cost has to be very equivalent of what the gas cars are. By the way, guys, some of you guys haven't heard of that. I mean, let me talk about something I should have talked a while back, because let me know in the chat room, and if you're watching this replay, in the comment section, because this is kind of mind-blowing. The company NIO, they used to be called Next TV, and they've been around for a while. They recently got a huge investment from Tencent, which is also the company that invested in Tesla, one of the major investors. And they unveiled this car, ES8, which is SUV. It was okay, cool. Another Chinese-backed company that's trying to make it there with a good investment, which is great. But they just came out with something, I would say, shocking. I'm surprised people are not talking about this more. They unveiled this car a couple of days ago, and they said that it's going on production basically next year, and they're going to be making them in pretty large quantities. And check this out. And I got this notes here because there are so many cool things about this car. First of all, the range is 185 miles, which is very acceptable. It's in China. They're going to produce it in China first, but still, it's a huge market, and Tesla has to compete. Don't forget, Teslas cost a lot in China because of the tariff. This car is going to start at 68,000 American dollars, around that. After the Chinese government incentives, it's going to be $57,000. But check this out. They're going to go in a Renault Zoe route, where the battery is going to be optional. Yes, battery not included in some cases. They will rent it to you, and they will create battery swapping stations, and on top of that, mobile charging vans. This is huge. So basically, you can end up buying this car for $42,000, which is insane, because Model X, which is probably going to be their competitor with much bigger range, but still is like 140, $50,000 in China, and this car is going to be like third of that price. If you don't want the battery you can obviously lease. Also, they're going to have vans driving around, and they're going to make more and more of them, where they can come in and charge you guys. Like, for example, on the campus at the company that I work for, there's a company that basically it's a little car that drives around with a gas, and through your app you can ask them to come to your car on campus and fuel it. So this is the same concept that NIO is going to use, and they're going to drive around and charge people who need charging. I'm assuming their own cars, obviously. So now they are going to, the self-driving technology is going to be powered by Mobileye, the company that created Autopilot 1.0 for Tesla. That's still a little bit better than 2.5 Autopilot. And yeah, I mean, this is huge, guys. This is a company that realistically is going to compete with Tesla and probably win a lot of customers in China. Of course, they can expand into Europe and the United States. And this is going to be huge for this brand new company that, I mean, they are brand new, but this is a brand new car that's going on the market right away, and it's going to compete right away big time. So let me know if you have it says Mr. Tech Freak 95 says will NIO sell cars in Europe? Would be cool. At first they're going to start in China, but if things are going to go as fast and as good for them as it looks, you know, they might expand to Europe and in the United States. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. Well, I'm not going to go to the chat room. So I think this is huge news, guys. I think this might just be, and I'm going to have a category for my eWards for the biggest potential to be a Tesla competitor next year. And this car is definitely going to be in the running. This is huge, I believe. Nigel in the chat room says, I have driven Zoe for 3 years, leased the battery, much cheaper, saved 2,000 pounds on fuel, only have 21,500 miles, done. I think I was excited when Tesla had the battery swapping station here in Harris Range, and I thought that was the new way to go. I thought that was genius. It takes care of the recharging problem. It takes care of, you know, even buying the battery, and I thought it was great. And I guess because the demand was low, that I wonder why they haven't really tried that much harder, and they kind of stopped that program. I think this is going to come back. You know, Renault Zoe is doing it in Europe. NIO is going to be doing it in China. I think Tesla will have to reconsider it, though, as you know, Model 3 is designed so that that battery cannot be swapped. So that might be, you know, Tesla might be at a disadvantage here, because this may just be the solution of charging your battery extremely quickly. So, Anton in the chat room says it'll cost about $72,000, and can you trust Chinese quality? Just like said, they will only cost really as low as $42,000 after the incentives. And if you don't get the battery, and if you do get the battery, it will start at $57,000. Can you trust it? Well, we'll see. But just like with any new company, they will definitely compete, and they will definitely get better, because, you know, you can also ask, well, you can also ask, can you trust American car quality? I mean, the whole industry just went belly up just a few years ago, and yeah, they're much better now, but American cars weren't always known or ever known for its qualities. So you can say the same thing about China, but China has been, you know, China has been doing pretty well as far as getting in there, getting into technology, and they are really serious about the environment in the electric car. So let them take a shot at it. I'm just saying there will be definitely major competitors to Tesla in China, and possibly in Europe, in the United States, if all of this is true. But they're like saying that they're just about to get this thing going in next year, so we'll see. It might just be a major game changer. Frosty Flake says, I'm having to deal with tax bill with my accountants on intellectual property issues. I'll stay away from politics, but this is hitting me. Yeah, it will hit some people. It will help some people, hopefully. But, you know, this is something we're going to have to deal in this country, just like most other countries, as taxes go up and then go down. They go up and go down. That's just how it's going to be. Gene says battery swapping is not really the best path for quite a few reasons. Okay, Gene, please do expand. I thought it was actually not a bad idea, not just because it's a fast swapping technology, you can do it really quick, where charging will probably be limited just because, you know, there's so much electricity, only so much electricity can get through that cord to your car without burning the damn thing down or melting the damn thing down. But also because it's a good financial decision for people that can change. I can go with a car right now and says, listen, I only drive to work and maybe pick up my kids from school, and I only need a 100-mile range, so I'm going to lease a cheaper battery. But then all of a sudden my job changes and I have to drive an hour to the office every day. I can go ahead and upgrade my lease and get a bigger battery instead of having to sell my car. So, and as the technology changes, you know, I don't have to buy a new car. I can lease a different battery for maybe even the same price. So I actually think it's a good idea, but let me know if you think that it's not and why. Obviously, all opinions are welcome here. I always believe that you guys are part of this whole process of analysis of what's going on. And a lot of times you guys give me a lot of great information. Use Tesla channel. Hi from Toronto, Canada. How are you? Canada has, oh, by the way, that will lead me another news that happened this week, which is Ontario, Canada is going to provide up to $60,000 rebates or tax credit, but somehow you're going to get 60,000 up to 60,000 American dollars, 75,000 Canadian dollars of the semi-truck. And they're kind of pioneering this whole thing about, hey, why don't we do incentives for electric car, a commercial green energy and electric cars. And that's pretty cool. I mean, think about it. The truck is already $150,000 to $200,000, which is pretty good deal. And if you're getting $60,000 off of that, that's pretty good. So, and I can totally see other in the United States and other provinces in Canada and in Europe doing the same thing. So Tesla can actually do pretty well with their semi-truck. Let's see. Let me scroll down. So that's what's going on in Canada. And by the way, if you guys haven't really seen this one, this is Thor truck, and this is the truck that's been kind of announced and released now. They've been testing it for a while. This is an electric truck, but not built from ground up. Thor trucks is converting the existing trucks into electric trucks, which is pretty cool, but unfortunately it only goes about 100 miles per one charge. They're saying they're going to work on a longer range, but right now, you know, if you already have a truck and you have to put, oh, by the way, it's 150,000, just like as much as the Tesla truck with a 300-mile range. So I don't quite understand why would people do it. If they already spend their money on the truck, it's used now, they're going to pile another $150,000 into it and they're only going to get 100 miles of range. I don't get it. Why not just go and get the Tesla truck? I know it's 2 years away, and maybe, but this conversion may just not be worth it. So I might be missing something, but they've announced it and it looks like they're going to be moving forward with it. So that's another thing that happened this week. Oh, and speaking of the semi-truck, Pepsi, earlier this week, we kind of forgot because so many different news has happened this week, but Pepsi has announced that they've ordered 100. That's the largest order, 100 semi-trucks from Tesla. So this is major. It looks like there are more and more companies want to make sure that they have reservations just in case, because, you know, I'm sure there will be a long list and Tesla won't be making these trucks really fast, right? So maybe some companies are just afraid of not getting their hands on one. I know these are all small amounts, you know, because it's, you know, for a company that owns thousands and thousands and thousands of semi-trucks, 100 even, is not that many. This is obviously a sample for a test. But it looks like everybody wants to have their hands on it. So I'm looking forward to more and more reservations. Of course, a lot of people are saying, and I agree, because it was my experience at the unveiling event that some people who I met at the trucking industry said they've already put in the orders, and I don't see them on the list of companies that ordered. So I think a lot of companies are either don't care or don't want people to know that they have the orders in with Tesla. Some people saying that the total count is over 2,000 reservations at this point, which is obviously great for Tesla. Predrag in the chat room says German cars are known for quality. American ones are known for huge engines and low power, at least here in Serbia. That is usually an impression of American cars in Europe. I agree. However, there are two things. One is after the whole, complete failure of American car industry here, they had to be bailed out. they emerged as actually better cars. I mean, think about Chevy Bolt, right? That's a car that's been kind of cutting edge, that's been popular in Europe. You guys actually can't even buy them fast enough over there. They can't make them fast enough for Europe. So a lot of interesting technologies, and I have to say, they really stepped it up. But secondly, Tesla. Tesla is an American company, and I think they're doing pretty well, right? So yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be changing. I think the perception of what American cars are going to be changing, but I think the perception of what Chinese cars are going to be changing as well, as Chinese have developed and are now investing into their own electric car technology. So I think things are going to be changing very quickly, because this is an opportunity for a lot of people, a lot of countries, a lot of companies to prove that they can do it better than others. So this whole notion of, BMW, Mercedes, they're basically the best of the best, and that's how it's going to be. I think that notion is going to be going away, because BMW and Mercedes are already behind, unless they regain that image by producing amazing electric cars that are better than Tesla and Chinese electric cars. So that's where we're at right now. And also, let me talk about actually European cars, and particularly Rolls-Royce, because they have announced that they're going to be going straight through electrification of their fleet. And I was a little surprised, because, any company that doesn't really need to rush into all of this is Rolls-Royce, because they're an old school company, their customers are older, they're not saying, oh my God, we got to get on this electric car, a bandwagon. They can actually wait, but they decided that they're not going to wait, that they're going to move forward with it. And most surprisingly, they're not taking the hybrid route. They're not saying, well, let's see how it goes. We're going to have hybrids first, and then we're going to move to full electric. Just going full electric. Now, a lot of you obviously mentioned this to me, that they've already had electric powertrain, and a lot of their tech is ready. They've tried it a few years back. It didn't work out, but they're more ready than we think. And that quiet cars that don't have transmission, and therefore it's smooth ride, go very much and play very much into the concept and the vision of what Rolls-Royce has for their customers, always have, and I agree. It's just, it's a pretty old school company that is taking a brand new technology on and says we're going for it. It is exciting, it's great news, and I definitely love the fact that they are doing it. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to see if they're going to try to kind of get in there with some new technologies, and of course smooth rides, and let's see what their car is going to look like when they come up with one. But I thought it was also pretty important and pretty impressive news coming out of Rolls-Royce. Stefan in the chat room says the US cars is poor build quality. Well, I kind of addressed that already. Sorry guys, I've been talking for such a long time. I need to take some water. Yeah, so I kind of addressed that. I think it's going to be changing. I think you guys are a little bit behind yourselves on what American car really is at this point, where I think you will be surprised that it's getting much better. And with Tesla, it might just be the leading company in the world. I mean, think about it. Think about Apple. 10 years ago, would you think that American electronics was any good? Hell no. We had RCA and whatever, John Goldstar that way, no, Goldstar wasn't American, but we were not innovating. But now Apple is the most popular and I believe the most valued electronics electronics company in the world. So things change pretty quickly as long as you start innovating. So I think you will be surprised by how fast this can be turned around. Tesla battery factory ahead of everyone else. That is true. Tesla obviously has kind of cornered that market. They already have two really factories that were creating batteries. They have partnered with Panasonic, and Panasonic stuck with them, and they stuck with the Panasonic, and now of course they're doing solar panels with Panasonic. So definitely that was a good move to partner with a company that's actually knows what they're doing as far as batteries. And now obviously Tesla is developing their own technology. So yes, they're very much ahead of everybody, but at the same time, don't forget, LG and Samsung already jump into the game. They're going to be offering their own versions for batteries for cars, and other automakers will be getting those batteries from those companies. And they also know a lot of things about battery technology. I'm looking forward to that at the CES in January. I'm going to see if LG and Samsung is going to be presenting something. So far, I haven't seen that on the calendar, but hopefully they will be presenting something interesting and new. Steven says, look at Ford, still bad. Okay, Ford, yes, they're better than they used to be. First of all, they're much better than they used to be. I think even their reliability and safety is much better. But listen, we can't have all the winners. Tesla is enough. Tesla is leading the way. Chevy Bolt is not bad. Generally, Chevrolet has been pretty good with their lineup as well. So you can't just name one company and say they suck, and therefore the entire American car industry sucks. But again, look at where this is going. The German cars have kind of plateaued. I don't see any innovation. I don't see anything inventing. I don't see anything new from them. Where Americans, you know, yeah, we're maybe still kind of below, but the trend is going up, and that's very important. And then Tesla is leading the way. Just like I said, things can change very quick. Gene in the chat room says, my first date was in a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, so I have a soft spot for them. What do you mean your date was? Did you guys meet in the car? Was it a taxi? Was it a? You gotta clarify that one, man. What do you mean you met at a Rolls Royce? Though I have to say I used to own a 1985 Rolls Royce Silver Spirit, I believe. I love that car. I love Rolls Royces. Their history is amazing. Their cars are amazing. But now that I'm gas free, I will not be getting obviously any Rolls Royces. But I really do appreciate it. Their company has amazing history, and the cars are really cool. So yeah, I do have a soft spot for Rolls Royce. But don't forget, they've been sold now. They're no longer really Rolls Royce. They're owned by BMW, which I found ironic. As you guys remember, I told that story that Rolls-Royce was making airplane engines. They still do, but back in the day in World War II, and a lot of people credit Rolls-Royce technology of the airplane engines for England never being occupied by Germany because of their strong fleet of airplanes that were, you know, using Rolls-Royce engines. But now it's the German company that owns Rolls-Royce. So irony at the same time, globalization at the same time, new world. That's what's happening. Let's see. Yes to the Gigafactory. Predrug says Apple is on a down path after Steve died. All right, I'm gonna assume you're just gonna hate whatever is American, and you gotta wake up, man. Listen, I'm very overall generous to all technologies and countries, and I'm in America here, but I don't always say that American is the best. I'm not one of those guys. Just like I said, this is why I'm defending the Neo, the car, because I think they're going to do well, and at least I'm going to give them a chance. Yes, they're a Chinese company, but I'm going to give them a chance. I think they can do very well because they really want to. The whole country there, the government, the incentives, they really want this, so I'm going to give them a chance. Just like with Tesla, you can. I mean, I don't like Apple. I don't own Apple products, and I never liked Steve Jobs as a person, even though I met him personally when I was younger. But I gotta tell you, I'm gonna give Apple credit where the credit is due. They're #1 company in the world. Yes, Steve Jobs died, and he was the innovator, but they could have screwed it up after he left, and they didn't. Yes, they don't really innovate as fast or as cool or whatever, but they kept up. You know, the latest Model X phone, they called it Model X, did you know that? The iPhone, it's, you know, it's got some new technologies and face recognition and a lot of things. The screen is amazing. So they're always on the front of the innovation, even right now, right? It's not like there's a phone out there that's 1,000 times better than iPhone. At least they're always neck and neck with Samsung or Google and so forth, and their operating system as well. So no, Apple is still #1 company in the world, and it's American company, and something that people would have never thought 10 years ago. My point is, things can turn around really quickly in the global economy. So this Neo here, yes, it's going to be Chinese, brand new startup, Chinese car. Yes, maybe expectations are low, but I think I'm going to give them a chance. I think they can do really well. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about, I mean, I see Anton here is talking about Derek, who has another channel. He says he shows that even the last year Tesla has improved the build quality to really good. I agree. Tesla has been improving all along. Let's see. Nigel says, lost my Apple iPhone in April, still pissed. Well, you got to get, first of all, you got to get an insurance on it so you can get it replaced. I don't know if it's available where you're at, but it should be. But also, owning anything Apple is expensive. And when it breaks, it's really expensive. That's why I go with, this is a Google phone, which is Google Pixel. because operating system and the phone are really good. It's neck and neck with iPhone, but at the same time, if I lose it and break it, I'm okay. You know, they provide like a really good insurance for it. And by the way, see the screen? See the difference between the screen of the Pixel and iPhone? It's not cracked. I've never seen an iPhone that was like more than 6 months old that hasn't had a cracked screen. There's something going on there. They gotta fix that. Nigel says 52% of car manufacturing in UK owned by Germans. The rest Nissan, Honda, GM, Europe, and another large percentage. Nigel, it's so global nowadays that it's hard to figure out. I mean, you can figure out who owns whom, where, and so forth. But you know, a car company in one country can own a company in one country can own a car manufacturer in another country that does business all over the world, and the investors and the manufacturers and makers and workers are all over the world. So you really don't know where that company really is, right? With Tesla right now, it's pretty obvious. It's mainly American company, but with most other companies like Honda, right? Okay, it's a Japanese company that sells a lot of cars in Europe and in America, that has a lot of them built here. A lot of Hondas, just like a lot of Mercedes and BMWs, are built here in the United States, and has a lot of workers and headquarters in here in the United States. Is it a German company anymore? You know, go figure. I think in the global economy, the blinds are going to be really blurry. Stefan says, I know that US car companies more inventful, I guess, but if you jump into a Volkswagen ET, do not squeak. It's all, I'm trying to figure out what you mean here. All US cars have been driving, have done that, including Tesla. Stefan, don't tell me old cars, okay? Whenever I say old cars, I'm going to expect you to drive all of them, okay? Or have a really reliable study on car squeaking, which I don't believe exists. Again, I mean, I already said it twice, so I don't know how else to say it. Listen, every car is going to have problems, okay? I had a BMW, and I'm never going to own a BMW again because they had so many problems that I wasn't willing to deal with, and their service was really bad by handling it, okay? So I had bad experience with BMW, but I'm not, and BMW service, but I'm not gonna say that all BMWs are like that and all BMW services like that. It just didn't work for me, but I can give you many examples where BMWs are not reliable, not as reliable. It's really expensive to own them when they're used and out of warranty. And I can tell you, I can point to almost every technology that BMW has inside of it right now that I've had in my Toyota or in my Lexus 10 years ago. So everybody has their own faults. Yes, Tesla has had and maybe still has some build problems where they don't build cars perfectly just yet. You know, I was at the semi-truck unveiling event and they had a Model 3 there for the whole press to see, and they had misalignment in a sunroof. Okay, very unfortunate. They're going to fix that. They probably already have. So, but I'm talking about innovation, right? Right now, American companies are leading the way. The autopilot, I'm going to have the best autopilot technology of the year category, right? And I got to tell you, all three technologies are American technologies. That's just what it is. So you can talk about squeaks and misaligned panels, and yes, they're going to have it. And I can talk about BMW crappy reliability and how expensive it is to own, or how bad their service is in some areas. Everybody has their faults, but I'm talking about the trends, okay? BMW, Mercedes, German makers, they have plateaued. They have not innovated anything. They haven't brought anything to market that was, oh my God, it's amazing. But American companies have. You know, Chevy Bolt does have a much longer range than any German car right now. So that's innovation. That's something better. That's something, you know, first on the market in their little niche. But also Tesla. I'm sorry, Tesla has invaded so many things, and this is why they're outselling. You know that Tesla's Model S are outselling BMW 7 Series and Porsche Panamera and the S-Class combined. Because it's a better car. People like innovation. People like the new tech. And again, I'm not trying to go, you know, be a Tesla fanboy here. I'm just trying to have you understand that every company has their faults. I'm just looking at the trend. Flat for German cars right now, up and up on for American cars, and especially Teslas. New iPhone does not have a frunk, just not good enough. Nigel, totally agree. I have some frunk humor t-shirts in my store, where you can find the link down there that I've created. I'm gonna buy them and wear them for you guys, and we'll talk about it in a bit. But if you're interested in just even checking out the funny electric car t-shirts, I have like 7 or 8 designs that I just created. It's in the description of this video, the store. I sell them through Spreadshirt. Anton says, I forgot Volvo is Chinese now. Well, there you go. Forget what I said about Chinese quality doubts. That's what I'm saying. It's global economy. Let's see. Ulysses in the chat room says, my question is, how much does it cost to charge your Tesla every week at your house every day? Okay, so this depends. You know, people ask this all the time. It depends. For example, 2 things. I live in an apartment complex, so I don't have a separate meter for my charger. So I have a deal with my apartment complex where I get to charge both of my cars with one charger, unlimited, at $100 per month, which is a pretty good deal because we drive, what, about 32 to 35,000 miles per year combined together with my girlfriend on both cars. However, I also live in Santa Clara, California, and Santa Clara is like the only city in the entire Bay Area that has its own own utility company. Okay, so my energy comes from city of Santa Clara. Everywhere in the Bay Area, they're using a private company called PG&E that charges like at least twice as much as the city of Santa Clara. So I have a flat rate, and I live where the electricity is extremely cheap. So in my case, it's $100 for 2 cars, unlimited. If you would have your own house next door in San Jose or San Francisco, that, you know, it depends how much you drive, by the way. If you drive as much as I do, your bill might be $200, $250 for that. It's still gonna be way cheaper than if you were buying gas, but still, it would be twice as much as what I'm paying. If you're one of many people who have their own solar panels and a Tesla battery pack, well, then it's $0. But at the same time, you still have to pay for what most likely is a lease on your solar panels and the financing, or maybe you bought it outright for your energy pack. So this depends on a lot of things. Where you live, what the electricity rates are there, what deal you might have with your condo, whatever apartment complex, or if you live in a house, do you have to pay your rate, or you're getting your electricity from your energy, you know, your solar batteries and your power pack. And again, how many miles do you drive? So that's all different. So I'm sorry I can't answer your question, but I'm just saying it's just me answering that I pay $100 for both of our cars really does nothing for you with your own situation, with your own driving habits, with your own rates where you live. But I hope at least I answer it in terms of what factors go into driving and cost of charging electric cars. I can definitely tell you it's cheaper than gas. That's for sure. Even here in America, where our gas is pretty cheap. Nigel said that styling of Volkswagen and BMW, that's his problem. Not all by expensive, have looked the same for years. Yes, BMW, you know, design is hard to argue, but I have to say that they have not been top of the line design as far as exterior, and I agree. But they're not that bad. I mean, I think they're okay. I love Mercedes a little bit better, actually a lot better. I think their exterior design is just more pleasant looking, but again, this is just my opinion. Use Tesla channel says, can't wait for SpaceX to start launching those internet satellites. Yes, that will help us. You know, I gotta tell you, like, for example, here, my internet speed, most people have a relatively low upstream. My friends in Russia who pay probably 1/3, not probably 1/3 of what I pay for my internet, get it at 10 times as speed as I have it here. In the United States, in the middle of Silicon Valley, the internet capital of the world. It's ridiculous. Just like right next to the new campus, Apple campus, the spaceship campus, literally across the street, your iPhone will not work because there is no reception. So we have weird stuff going on here. As a matter of fact, for me to stream in full HD, what I'm doing right now, and I'm streaming both on YouTube and Facebook at the same time, for me to do this, I had to upgrade my internet connection by 2-fold, and I'm paying now 3 times as much just so I can stream in HD to these 2 platforms. It is kind of crazy. So yeah, it's weird. Nigel says, come to Ireland, free, still free public charging, spend more on car washing and tires. That's true. You know, there's a lot of free charging going on in Europe, but here superchargers are free as well. Tony in the chat room Says, I have to agree with Alex. Innovative companies are the cream that's actually rising to the top. I have given up on auto companies who choose not to innovate. I mean, yeah, I mean, again, you know, I'm just trying to say that, you know, you guys don't think that American car companies, just like American anything, is just as bad as it was 10 years ago. Or like Chinese company like this car, that's why I'm keeping this image here, is just as bad as they used to be. Things are moving very quickly, and the lines between whether it's Chinese company, an American company, or European company are getting blurrier and blurrier with every day. Gene says, the short answer is that it is cheaper than gas. That is absolutely true. Also says, cool, in Germany free chargers get less and less. Mr. Tech Freak 95. Now I do have to say that I was researching about the countries that are friendly to the electric cars. There's a less and less, some incentives are being phased out or will be very soon, and there's less free charging stations. Like here in the United States, I have to say, I saw a lot of free charging stations, and now it's all paid. As a matter of fact, they used to be able to, you know, you could park, but also you could, you didn't have to charge. But now if you park in a charging station stall, charge point or blink or whatever, you have to be charging. And, you know, I have a whole video how I think it's complete BS that, you know, you have to pay money for the service when you're parking an electric car spot. I think it's a disservice to electric car owners. I think it's a disservice to any type of car owners, because if you are, taking a bunch of parking spots and let's say giving it to handicapped people, right? That is a service that our community provides, because we believe that handicapped people should have an easier time getting to a grocery store when they park there, or to a movie theater. And I think it's reasonable. I mean, I have my own problems with it, but whatever, it's reasonable as a concept. You know, here in America, 9 out of 10 people coming out of the handicapped cars, I have to say, don't look like they're handicapped. And I don't believe that like overweight people should be given those stickers, but that's my personal view. I don't jump in on this, my personal views. But nevertheless, as a society, we decided, okay, it is good that we're going to allow people who have handicap to get to the store, to the grocery store, to our places. You know, they don't have to walk as far, and that's fine. So if we as a community also decided that, okay, let's give some incentives to the people who are adopting the new green technology that's going to be good for all of us at some point, and we're going to give them these 5 or 10 parking spots, well, don't make money on that. Don't force those people you're helping make money on that. It's almost like if you're going to be giving those parking spots for handicapped people, but at the same time make them pay for some other service that they need to buy as they park their cars. You either give the incentives and help, or don't. Don't try to build another industry and make the profit on it while helping. So that's why I find this must be charging and the parking spot thing is really ridiculous. Now, superchargers are a little bit different because that's property of Tesla, and these superchargers are specifically for Tesla owners, and you need to be charging. So that's a completely different thing. That's under control of Tesla. I'm talking about public parking garages that are part of our cities, and they should not have any interest in making money, or at least on the incentives that are giving, or making money to other companies like charge points, while trying to give incentives to whichever group they choose to do so. So I have a problem with that. How are the fires in California? Nigel is asking. I am in Northern California, though I will be traveling to Los Angeles for my cruise, because that's where it's leaving out of. It looks like it's under control. It's obviously one of the largest fires we had here, and people have died. One thing, well, I think 2 things I hope come out of it. I think people need to understand that the climate is changing. The ups and downs are much bigger than they used to be. We've never had fires like this, I believe, ever in California. I mean, we have them back and forth. But most importantly, however you want to look at the climate change, but most importantly, we need to get smart here in California. We're a very rich state. We're a very smart state. And yet we do such dumb, cheap stuff. For example, we don't have an earthquake warning system here in California. You know, we're living on freaking San Andreas fault here. We're in Silicon Valley. We got all this technology and money, but we don't. We will all die if there will be a major earthquake that will bring down our buildings. We're in Mexico, not a very rich country, a country known for their innovation and technology. They have an early warning system for earthquake. As a matter of fact, they saved ridiculous amount of lives this year earlier when they had an earthquake, and the earthquake early warning system, I believe, gave them a 1 minute to get out, and a lot of people did not die because of that. Here we don't have it. Back to the fires. We don't have the fire early warning system either, which sounds like you only have to do is put a bunch of sensors, the smoke detectors and temperature sensors out there in the areas, in the woods, in the neighborhoods where you know the fires come to very often, or at least the possibility, and have a warning system through loudspeakers. We got to get that going. I know it's old school, but that's helpful. Through cell phones and television. That we don't have that yet, so I hope, if anything, this fire teaches us something, and we invest in an early warning detection system for fires and earthquake here in California. This is where we're not innovating, unfortunately. Shame on us here in California, but I hope we get our stuff together very soon. But it looks like fires are okay. I mean, they're still burning. I know a few people who live there. My girlfriend is in Southern California right now. It looks like it is under control. Corey Goodwin in the chat room says, Alex, have you seen a Ballinger B1 electric truck? I haven't seen it in person, though. I probably should have gone to LA Auto Show. It's just there's only so much time off I can take from my work, and I already gone to the VIT Summit. I already gone to the Tesla semi-truck event, and I'm going to the CES and my Mexican vacation, so I can only be absent for so long, but next year I will definitely try to. They did have that truck on there. I have contacted them. They sounded very friendly. They wanted to showcase the truck. They said if I can get to New York where they're at, they would be more than happy to. And I missed my chance here in California. But yeah, this is another player. They obviously are going after the Jeep type of crowd, which is, you know, pretty good crowd to go after. And I wish them the best of luck. I would love to interview them. I hope they're going to be at CES, though I don't think they will be. So yeah, no, another impressive technology, another company that's going to compete. And I really hope they do. Sorry guys, I'm just I've been talking for a while now, so need a little bit of water, and also to catch up with your chat. If I had more Tesla chargers, says Nigel in the chat room, who is still here, chargers, even if not free, would think of Tesla long term. But then here Tesla has only one sales place in Dublin. What happens after Brexit will get complicated. You know what? That reminds me about another topic that I haven't covered. There's just so many news that I still haven't covered, but let's cover this one. And this actually comes as a comment of the day. So let me switch to that. And this one comes from Monkey Ride. I told you, you're a featured comment of the day, one of the two. He says, rightfully so, I think Tesla is being very short-sighted with the new role in superchargers. And this is the new fair use rule that Tesla is trying to make sure that people are not taking advantage of superchargers and getting in the way of people who travel, and therefore creating really long lines. But there are new rules, and he says the automaker says that any new or used Tesla vehicles purchased after today and used for commercial purposes cannot use any Tesla supercharger worldwide, which is correct. That's their new thing. He says it's said cannot use any supercharger. Nothing about not using it for free, just that they cannot use it, period. And there is a problem, and I agree with Monkey Range here. It is a problem. They hopefully amend this, but yes, I guess if you want to buy a Model 3 or Model S or Model X to do Uber, or to do your own ride-sharing service, or to deliver anything, or to even drive for your company from one location to another, you cannot use supercharger, period, even if you're willing to pay. I'm assuming that was an error and they're going to correct it, but right now I agree with it. That's not good. I almost positive they're going to correct that. So it is something that good catch, first of all. But also it is something that they've certainly overlooked, and I hope it comes back to they're going to come back and revise that. And you know, might as well go for the second comment of the day, which comes from Agent RR, which is one of the regulars here in live chat and also in the comment section when people watch it on replay. It says, Alex, I saw the video in regards to that that's best to lease than purchase. Well, it is best to lease than purchase in a relatively common set of conditions when you want to buy a new car, when you want to keep it for 3 years, when you don't drive more than like 17,000, 18,000 miles per year, and when you don't want to own it for cash. With that said, yes, then it's much better to lease this car. Just had this conversation with my dad yesterday because my parents are thinking about leasing for the first time, and I've always been an advocate. I am in total agreement with you. Are you still going to buy the car even if by September of 2018, when I'm hoping to get my Model 3, they don't have a lease program? If so, do you know if the Model 3 with a 220-mile range will be able to be configured with a premium package at the discounted price? So I'm not really sure what do you mean by discounted price? I don't think there will be discount. I think you will be able to add the premium package to a shorter range of the Model 3. I'm not really sure, because of you asking that, I'm not really sure if I understood you correctly. So I don't know if you can clarify. But as far as whether or not I'm going to get a Model 3 if there is no lease option, and that's actually a pretty good question, because I'm going to be at the dilemma, right? On one hand, I obviously want to get the benefits of the lease, which is a lot. And I explained is you only pay half of the sales tax. You don't have to worry about the value of the car when you return it, because if it's worth less, then the bank takes a hit. If it's worth more, you buy it out of the bank and you make an extra money by selling it for the fair market share. There are also multiple security deposit options that some banks have that will save you a lot of money on that. So there are a lot of reasons. But at the same time, I believe there will still be about half of the $7,500 tax incentive left in September. So the question will be, will I save more money if I wait until Model 3 has a lease program? Or will I save same amount of money if I take advantage of the car incentive, but will have to purchase the car? And I think I'm going to answer it then. If it's a wash, which it might just be a wash, then I guess I might as well buy it or finance it, and because I will have no choice, because the benefits will be the same. But if one benefit will be much higher than the other one, then I'm going to go with whatever is the best financial decision for me of getting the car for the least amount of money. So I'm going to decide by then. But yeah, I would really hate it if they still don't have a leasing program by then, which they might not do. Usually the problem with the leasing program for Tesla is because they don't make as much money up front on leases, right? And right now they're trying to get their revenues up as much as possible. That's why they're not doing it. I'm hoping they're more calm and they're much in a better financial shape as they should be, because they don't have to spend all this money on ramping up the Model 3 production by them, that they will allow the lease by that time. And you remember with the Model S and Model X, the lease, actually originally lease options came from US Bank, and only after that they also ended up doing Tesla Financial, which they were doing their own financing. And I have one of my cars leased through US Bank, and another one of my cars is leased through Tesla Financial. So that's a good question, and that's something that made me think. But I think that's what I am going to have to do here. All right, let's see. I'm just trying to catch up with some of your chat comments. Gene says, I agree that they likely meant free use of the superchargers. I think so too. I hope they corrected. As a matter of fact, I already talked about this before. I think the best way to take care of the problem of people charging in the superchargers, whether for commercial use or because they don't have a charger at home or it's easier for them, is this. Yes, if you're using it for commercial use, you need to pay. But also, if you are within 30, let's say, miles of your home, where your car is registered, or wherever you registered with Tesla, you register your home, and you want to supercharge, it has to be paid, because you're obviously not traveling. You're just charging it and taking advantage of the network, and I think that's reasonable to ask you to pay, because if you're not paying at home for it, there's no free ride, really. I mean, there is right now, but it really shouldn't be. And you're also getting on by people who are traveling, and superchargers are intended for those who travel, not for those who want to save some money on not having a charger at home, or maybe not an ability to charge at home. But nevertheless, there should be a fee for that. The original intent, it was for free travel. That's my idea. I think it's very easy to implement. I know some people will probably still register themselves as living, you know, somewhere else, maybe, you know, 100 miles away, so they can't get free supercharging, and there will be a few dishonest people like that. But overall, I think that system was going to be much better than what we have right now, with people taking advantage in the lines of the superchargers that are still there. I really see more superchargers and less lines, but I was at the factory the other day and there was a still 5-6 car line in there, which I just don't think there should be lines. Let's see. Mr. Tech Freak 95 says, I hope I can get the Model 3 with small battery and with all-wheel drive and premium. At some point you will be. At some point all these options are going to be just like with the Model S right now. You can pick and choose. The reason they're selling these upfront and with no lease is because they're trying to get as much money out of the people on the waiting list as possible, just like they did with the Model S and the Model X. And you know, it's understandable. They got a lot of criticism for burning through billions of dollars this year, so they can ramp up the production of Model 3. So they got to get back into the positive, into the green on their sales, and that's what they're trying to do. So that's understandable. Let's see. Nigel in chatroom says commercial charging easy to stop. And stop, he's doing the red stop sign right there. That's why it drew my attention. If no charger at home must be taken into account. Well, you know, here's the thing. If you're running an Uber service or whatever, again, I don't mind you charging in a supercharger. You got to, I mean, let people use Teslas for Uber and Lyft and so forth. It's just you got to pay. You know, you got to pay. You can't basically make money on Tesla and on us, people who are waiting in line with you, so you can make money. I think it's unfair. If anything, you should pay into this so they can either build more superchargers or you don't do it as often, so more people can charge and the lines could be shorter. It's just only fair, I think. Cylon in the chat room, this is the first time I see your comment. I appreciate you jumping in and welcome. Bart has an Bart is the transit. It's kind of a train that we have here in the Bay Area. As a matter of fact, it stands for Bay Area Rapid Transit, I'm assuming. Has an early warning system. Why not share warnings with residents? Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand what we're doing here in the Bay Area and in California. We should get much smarter and better. Oh, let's see. I'm just going through the chat room here. Nigel says, here in Ireland, I charge out and about because it is free. All right. Again, this is about taking advantage. If you're not taking advantage, that's fine. If you are taking advantage, and I'm assuming, hey, you're taking advantage because it's allowed. That's what I'm saying. Tesla should disallow people taking advantage, but at the same time, don't completely take them out of using the supercharger network. Monkey Right says, or just put a cap like 10 to 15,000 miles a year free charging on an S and an X and a 3 is already sorted out as you got to pay already. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of other solutions. I mean, there are solutions. I'm just saying Tesla needs to address it. They're making an attempt. I think they're making a mistake while they're doing it that will correct, but it just needs to be addressed across the board. It's been 5 years now since we've seen the superchargers, and so we should really start taking care of it, and Tesla really should start taking care of it. Nigel said, not sure if buying small battery, high spec Model 3, good idea, like bright yellow color, second-hand value less. Now, by the way, I'm going to be buying a 35,000, well, 40,000 version of the Model 3. At least that's what I want right now, because the range is more than enough for me. One of my Teslas is regular 16 and it has smaller range than a regular range, standard range Model 3. So I'll be just fine. And I just want a premium package. So 35 plus 5. And I want it black anyway, so I don't have to pay extra for the extra color. So I'll be getting it at 40 grand. That's what I want to get. Let's see. Eco Kids says, hi Alex, been away, how are you? Not bad at all, welcome back. I'm actually going to do a few more shows before I go on a vacation, and so 22nd through 30th I will be releasing videos of what I'm calling E-Awards, the electric car awards of the year that I made up, but I'm gonna have categories, and if you are a Patreon, you guys have already a glimpse of what the categories are going to be, and I'm going to release 9 of them on the YouTube, and 1 of them just for my Patreons. And my Patreons are going to be actually voting for which category they want to see. Right now, it looks like the sexiest feature of the year is winning right now. So if you're a Patreon, please go ahead and vote. If you're not Patreon, this is just so you know, the link is in the description of this video. You can browse there and you can support the channel. There are two levels. One is for you to get the exclusive content that I only post for my Patreons, behind the scene footage, and many other things that are just for my Patreons. Or you can just donate, you know, $1 or $2 if you just want to support me, and I would really appreciate it. The video that I posted on my Patreon page explains where the contributions are going to, and you can kind of understand how much all this whole production really does cost. It will probably surprise you. This week, I've already uploaded this video where I got to dance with the Model X, which is one of the candidates, one of the sexiest features of the year. I could not post this video on YouTube because the music that's playing during it, which is pretty cool, it's called Wizards of Winter by the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It's just a special version for Tesla that they made. They will not allow me to post it on YouTube because of a copyright laws and so forth. I did reach out to the record company. They said, not unless you pay us. And I said, I will not. So I just gonna post it for my Patreons. It's right here, me having a good time, embarrassing myself right in front of your eyes, having a good time with a Tesla Model X, which I had for one day when we were doing a calendar shoot with local fashion models in the beautiful green locations here in California. So the link is in the description of the video. I appreciate you guys contributing it. Let's see what else. Gene is talking about this. He's talking about early warning for tornadoes are available in the Midwest. When Iowa is doing better than California, it's not good. I agree. Listen, it is embarrassing that here in California, with all the tech, with all the money that we have, fourth largest economy in the world, we do not have an early warning system for earthquakes, while Mexico has one, and for our wildfires, where people are dying even right now. And I believe a firefighter just died like 2 days ago. So that's still going on, and that's not good. But I really, really, really hope we catch up. Let me cover just one more story, guys. This story was just odd. Just odd. This automaker, I believe it's called WM Motor, and they are also a Chinese-backed company. They came up with a brand called Weltmeister, which is a German word for a world champion, I believe. And not there only they just kind of swooped in, they're saying they're going to get this car produced right away in next year. They're planning on 50,000 cars made next year. No mention of the factory. Their website looks like they just literally just registered a domain name. There's nothing on there. Not much going on. The picture I had to take here is from autoreview.ru because they don't have their own pictures on their own website. So I don't know if the company that can put up together a website can really do well with a brand new car right away and build 50,000 of them. But they are being backed by some really major investment companies in China. So it kind of sounds like it's real, but it's unreal as far as what they're trying to do. So this story was this week, and I talked about it. I still have no clue how they are going to get it done. It's just a very odd story, and I don't really know what to make of it. Of course, a quick reminder that this stream and this channel is sponsored by Evanex, the Tesla accessories, aftermarket accessories, where I am a customer. As a matter of fact, I just posted a video, guys, for you. Featured a video a couple of days ago of the car cover that they have for Tesla, which I'll be using mainly to put it on my car when I parked in the area where I think it possibly can get broken into, and I think that's a pretty good defense mechanism. I have a video on my channel about how to avoid having your Tesla or your car in general from being broken into. Mine unfortunately did. I have some video and pictures from it. Somebody else in my Facebook group of the Model S owners also was broken into, and judging by the footage of our dash cams from the same people at the same night, 50 miles away. So I did this big research on what you can do to avoid that. I looked at some interviews of former car thieves and what they were talking about. And they usually say, hey, if it takes less than like 60 seconds for us to get in and get out, we're probably not interested, because that means that the possibility of being caught is that much higher. So I think putting a car cover on the car, and it's, you know, the Evanex makes one that's really not, you don't know that it's a Tesla. Yes, it might attract some extra attention, but at the same time, taking it off, you know, and then, you know, maybe that's 10-20 extra seconds will scare people away, because, you know, thieves away. And that's what I'm going to do, because, you know, whether it's a Tesla or Tesla covered in a, you know, with a car cover, and then they discover it's a Tesla, I still think that's a target either way. But I think the one with the cover will deter some people. Also, they actually have a little pocket where you can still charge your car while it's being covered, and they have some netting up front for your battery to be cooled down, and they have some pockets for your side mirrors. So it's pretty well made. And I, you know, I was in my video was pretty much me figuring it out on the fly, putting it over the car really quick. So, and I'm gonna use this. This is something that I just got, and I'm definitely gonna use it for those purposes. Well, Nigel says these car companies like Bitcoins just cons. Well, it's hard to call a Bitcoin a con, even if it might be, because a lot of people don't really understand what it is, but it's worth a lot of money right now. I'm not really sure if these companies, like even now Fisker or Faraday Future or this new company, Weltmeister, are really worth anything right now until they start making their cars. So EcoKid says, hi Nigel, I know you guys are talking to each other, but he says the Model 3 will be in the UK early 2019. That's what my configuration says. Yeah, it will take a while to get to the UK. Obviously, they started selling Model 3s first to the people who work for the employees of Tesla and Model X. Then they're selling it to us, the current Tesla owners. And then they're going to be selling it to the rest of the people, but it will start with California, then United States, then Canada, and so forth. So it might be a while until it makes it to Europe, but it is coming. The revolution has started. So yeah, guys, a lot of news going on this this week. I'm looking forward to the next week. Just like I said, past Thursday, I will not be able to cover it. I will be on vacation, but I will be uploading the videos every morning at 11 a.m. You will get a new video. And again, I'm calling them E-words, different categories for the best something of the year, best performance, best disappointment of the year, the sexiest feature of the year, and so forth. So that's where we are right now. All right, guys, it's been nice hanging out with you. I am back here at 11 o'clock tomorrow. We're going to have some news, obviously, and I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much for everybody who hung out with me right here. Once again, if you want to become a Patreon, please see the link down there. There's also some cool funny t-shirts that I've created for you guys to check out or buy if you want to. I will start wearing them as soon as I get them myself. So that's pretty much it for me. I will see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.